Has anyone else ever noticed that the DC animated movies are kind of getting worse? But before I get into that, guys, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell up top so you get notified of the latest and greatest videos. Now, DC and Warner Brothers have had a history of making some all-time great animated movies. Specifically when it comes to Batman, from The Dark Knight Returns to Under the Red Hood, he has had some phenomenal animated movies. To this day, I don't understand why Under the Red Hood or The Dark Knight Returns has not been adapted into a live-action movie. But it's not just these. You also have classics like Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Batman and Mr. Freeze, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, which is one of my all-time favorites, and even less-known classics like Batman vs. Dracula. And for a while, when it came to Batman's character, DC just couldn't miss, even when he wasn't the focal point of the movie. A prime example of this is Batman Assault on Arkham, which mainly followed the Suicide Squad, but was a phenomenal film. But I don't know why, but it just seems like within the last couple of years that Warner Brothers has kind of fallen off when it comes to Batman movies. And I think mainly it's just because that they are either running out of ideas or they're not picking the right storylines. A perfect example is Batman: A Doom That Came to Gotham. Now, this movie wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. A perfect way to describe these recent Batman movies is flat pop, or flat soda for those of you guys who are on a different part of the country. Yes, you still have the flavor of a Batman movie, but you don't have the crisp freshness that all the other movies offered. Like, take for example Batman Under the Red Hood. There are so many quotables that me and my friend quote from that movie still to this day. And iconic scenes like when Batman palm punched Jason through that bathroom wall. And the same thing goes for The Dark Knight Returns, when Batman threw those batarangs in Joker's eye. All the way up until their iconic showdown where Joker almost stabs him to death and Batman ends up breaking his neck. His latest projects just don't have the same type of flair. And all in all, there are so many variables of his character that DC has yet to explore. Like, there is no reason why we should only have one Batman Beyond movie, especially when DC left the door open with Terry McGinnis being grown at the end of Justice League Unlimited. But it isn't just Batman who's a victim of this, it's other films in the DC universe that are suffering behind these poor decisions too. A perfect example of this was the Crisis movie that DC tried to do. It had potential, but it was just way too drawn out. And the thing about it is, this concept isn't something that's new to movies or comic books. There have been constant storylines where a multiversal threat has threatened timelines with superheroes across different worlds. There are great modern day examples of these type movies like Into the Spider-Verse, but there are also slept-on versions like Turtles Forever. What makes these movies dope is that you get a chance to be able to see how these different versions of these characters interact with each other. For example, in Into the Spider-Verse, even though most of these characters are variants of Peter Parker, they all interact with each other differently because they are different versions of the same character. They have their own unique set of personalities, quirks, and it makes it funny and interesting to see how they interact amongst each other. Same thing with Turtles Forever. Even though these are all the same characters, they feel vastly different because they are. But in the Crisis movie, we didn't get that. At least to me, it just felt like I was watching copy and paste versions of the same character, but just with different outfits. Especially when it came to Superman, each one of his universal variants didn't bring anything special to the table. The only thing that was distinguishing about their character was their costumes and their hairstyles. DC really missed an opportunity to be able to do something unique. And one key factor that I think that people love about these movies that blend all these different type of versions of these characters together is the art style. It's dope and a little funny in Turtles Forever to be able to see the classic OG turtles that are cartoony interact with the more serious turtles. Same thing with Into the Spider-Verse. It's dope to be able to see all of these different type of Spider-Man interact with each other and have their respective art style from their TV show. Once again, in the Crisis movie, we did not get that. We got different variants of the same character with the same art style, and it came across as bland and boring. And what's messed up is that they even tried to blend in the art styles in the end when all of the universes were being erased, and it just felt unnecessary, bro. Like, how dope would it have been to see the Robin from the OG Teen Titans interact with Damian Wayne? And even though we kind of already got this in the Once and Future thing in Justice League Unlimited, think about how dope it would have been to see Terry McGinnis from Batman Beyond interact with the OG Batman, or the Joker from The Batman interact with the original Joker from Batman the Animated Series. The possibilities are just endless, dude. But I think this is a prime example of DC just trying to play it safe. And the biggest problem with playing it safe is a lot of your projects end up coming out boring. And then what they've been doing too is coming out with these movies that aren't really movies. And what I mean is those films that are just short films squeezed into one to make it a longer drawn out project. It's just really getting bad over there. And it's not like you guys don't have a gang of source material to work with. Like, why has Batman Nightfall not been made into an animated movie yet? Like, get the classic stuff out the way first and then focus on the other stuff. I don't want to see Batman be a samurai. I think the superhero and comic book space is now entering into a weird kind of twilight zone. It used to go comic book, cartoon series, animated movie, live action TV show. Now I don't know what the hell the formula is, bro. And it's not just happening over at DC, it's happening at Marvel too. Name the last time you saw a good Spider-Man TV show on TV. It just feels now at this point that the movies are not being respected. It feels like they are just trying to use them in order to be able just to push merchandise and diversity, which they've always done, but they did it in a very classy way. We know that the end result for most of these movies is to make money, but you're also making art. So at least have some respect for it. We are now entering into the space of the ultra-processed McDonald's version of comic book media. Because even if you just go back and check the Rotten Tomato scores, they will speak for themselves. Remember that old saying that DC ran the animation department and Marvel kind of ran the live action department? I think that that has officially run its race. And it looks like in the next 5 or 6 years that that's going to become a thing of the past. Because both of these companies, when it comes to those departments, have been consistently putting out trash. It's just very difficult for me to see this age in comic book media come to an end. Especially comparing it to the run that DC went on in the early 2000s and mid 2000s. When these trailers dropped, they were epic and I couldn't wait to watch them. Now, I kind of just feel indifferent about them. And maybe I am being harsh, but you guys need to let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Has DC really fallen from grace, or are they just experiencing a little bit of bad luck right now? Or are the fans just becoming a little bit too nitpicky when it comes to these movies? And are those movies of old as good as we think that they are? Because I definitely think that they are, but prove me wrong. Until next time, my anime family and my comic book community, peace.